Before I talk about formatting output, I'm going to show you where PowerShell gets its formatting from. Now, this is not something you have to learn how to do. As a matter of fact, it's a little bit tricky to find these things sometimes. So I've given you one just as an example. And again, this is not something you have to learn how to do yourself. I just want you to have an idea in the back of your mind where PowerShell is getting this information. So we're going to take the get process command. Now that produces some output. What does that output look like? Well, that turns out to be in a PS1 XML file. And it turns out that this particular one is in something called .NET types.format.ps1 XML. How would you know that? You don't have a way of knowing that. There might be a way. I'm not aware of what that is. It's just something that I looked up. So I'm calling up a program, by the way, called Search Everything. It has a way to find files on your system very quickly. So I'm going to look up .NET types.format.ps1. And there it is. Now there are several of these, and there's a reason for that. I'm not going to go into that. I'm just going to choose this first one that's in Windows System 32, Windows PowerShell v1.0. All right, now that I'm here, I'm going to look for system.diagnostics.process object. So we'll do a find system.diagnostics.process. I will do a find next. It's not this one because this is process module. Let's look again. There it is. All right, here is what we can see. The table headers that it's going to output. It's going to be a table, and it's going to output in headers. The first header is going to be 7 characters wide, and it's going to align it to the right, and it's going to label it handles. And then the next one is going to be 7 characters wide, and it's going to label it NPM with a K, and then so on. So you can see all of the column widths and all of the labels for those headers. Now that doesn't tell us what these actually are. This is just a label. It's not the actual property name. It's the label for a certain property name. So let's find the property names next. So that one happens to be in types.ps1 XML. So let's find that. Go back to search everything. Types.ps1 XML. And let's see, let's go down to, there it is, and I'm going to again choose this one that's in Windows System 32, Windows PowerShell, and I'm going to look for that same one, System Diagnostics.process. Oh, there's that module one again. That's not the one we want. There it is. So if we scroll down here, you'll see what's going to be in it. We're going to have these fields. We're going to have the ID field, the handles field, the CPU field, the SI field, and the name field. So let's actually do a get process. And let's go up to the top of that output. And sure enough, here are those fields. These are the column widths. And then the names, or I should say the labels for those names. So you can see that these are not necessarily the actual properties. They are labels that represent certain properties. All right, so this is how PowerShell is determining how to lay this out. Now it turns out that if the widths are more than the width of the field here, that is to say, if I go to layout and I see that the screen buffer has a certain width to it, in this case 67. If it's more than 67, then when I add up all of these columns, then it's going to make it a list rather than a table. So it just has to do with what you have available to you on that screen. All right, that's how PowerShell knows how to format. So how do we format? Well, we're going to get into that in just a few moments.